Where is the San Jose real estate market going, and what is going on with inventory and interest rates? Well, stay tuned. Hi, I'm Teresa Wellman with Homeowner Experience Real Estate, and we are here in September 2023 talking about the San Jose Silicon Valley real estate market. It is sure unique and not like what we've seen before, and a very interesting market of supply and demand. And yes, interest rates are high, which means demand is lower than typical, but we have such extremely low inventory that we are still in a multiple offer strong seller's market. So let's jump over to the charts, look at some history, and talk about the actual numbers. So you see here, the Santa Clara County market continues to have a very upward trend. And yes, this big dip you see here was late 2022 when those interest rates started to increase. But as we got into 2023, the prices started to recover and increase, and it is just a battle of supply and demand. I've zoomed in the bottom section of this chart here for you so that you can see this yellow line of supply or inventory, meaning active homes on the market, is actually lower than the number of homes being sold, the green bar here. And we've had this before. During the pandemic, we had this kind of market where the sales were above the inventory. And also in 2017, early 2018, which if you've been in this area for a while, you know those were huge markets as far as appreciation goes. Look at these charts here, big, and then the pandemic, big appreciation. We are in a unique environment that tends to mean prices are appreciating. So let's talk more about that. Interest rates are the biggest wild card and factor right now. Many experts thought that interest rates would have improved by this latter part of 2023, but as you probably know, they have not really. We're still seeing the 30-year conforming rate over 7%. Jumbo rates are a little bit better at about 6.75%, and a 7-year ARM, a slightly improvement of that, usually only about an eighth of a point, because experts are now saying in the next 18 months or so, we should be back to 4.5% interest rates. So a lot of buyers who are buying today are buying and squeezing their budgets, anticipating they will be able to refinance in just 18 months, 2 years or so. So banks are making it not very attractive for you to get that shorter loan because they know that you're just going to refinance out of it, whether it be long-term or short-term. So let's talk about what I see that's kind of happening that's interesting. What I can tell you is buyers are finally realizing and accepting that interest rates are not improving quickly anytime soon, and that prices are not in their favor. Prices have been appreciating. And so, yes, it's just getting more expensive to own a home here in San Jose. So buyers who need to move are making that move. And that has driven the demand and kept it pretty consistent. With the low inventory is making a very active real estate market. Now, unemployment remains good, still only at 3.5% closing through July. And so that is, again, keeping people able to afford and keeping the demand strong in our area. Now let's get into the San Jose stats and a market forecast. If you like this information, definitely give me a thumbs up so that Google knows that you are liking this content and it will get it out to more people. I appreciate it. Okay, so here we are with the San Jose market stats. Closed stats through August 2023. So the big news here, I've said it over and over again, is our inventory or our active or our supply. Sorry, lots of words to call the same thing, but our inventory is extremely low. I've put a dotted line here for you to get relative perspective in the San Jose market. We are half of what we were last year. Yes, we are way below the peak in April of, numbers today are below the peak inventory in April of 268. Now that's really unusual for the summer inventory to be lower than the spring inventory, but that's what we're seeing here. We're also much lower inventory than the summers of 2020 and 2021 during the pandemic, when a lot of people held their houses off the market because of the pandemic and fear of people coming and going through their home, right? The other big news is that sales in August are down, but just a little bit, only 13% year over year. And I think that's just really because of the interest that, the options that buyers have to make a purchase. The 2023 price peak probably is past. It looks like it was here in June, July, But inventory and interest rates are our wild card through the rest of 2023. In 2017, we had a really unusual fall where inventory fell even more, interest rates got a slight bit better, and the market took off. If you look at that here, inventory went way down and sales were pretty strong, and then the spring just really took off in prices and sales, and then the inventory caught up and it tampered off a little bit, right? But could we have a fall like 2017? Only if inventory continues to drop and interest rates show some sign of improvement. Otherwise, I think we're going to have a pretty stable market. So let's look at the actual numbers here and get more into it. So the average price in San Jose now is 1.7 million. We've been hovering around that number for the last couple months. As you see, that's just up 0.4% from last month. But the big news is it's up 12% from last year. And last year, August, it was a couple months into the interest rate changes. And so that's, I want to say, the bottom of the market was in June or July, August last year. And so we're up 12% from that point. We're still not at the April 2022 peak prices, but we are on the way to recovery, which is great news. Multiple offers are still very common. Look at 5.8% on average homes are selling in San Jose, and prices continue to just appreciate. Now, the number of sales is down slightly from a year ago, but up from the month before. And inventory is half, like we've been talking about. Inventory is the big driver right now. Now, you wondering what your house is worth in this current market? We'll see the links below. Or if you're wondering how to get started to buy or sell, I've got home buyer guide and a home seller guide linked below for you to get step-by-step instructions. You don't even need to log in. It's all on my website, available for you to just access and research. So let's talk a little bit more about the market forecast. In San Jose, the housing market tends to follow the stock market. I haven't done this chart in a while, so I wanted to bring it up again to show you that as the stock market appreciated this year, so did the housing market, right? The housing market recovered. And it looks right now that the stock market is holding and leveling off, which means we're probably going to expect prices to do the same. Prices usually lag about 3 or so weeks from the stock market. So that's an interesting piece to help you look at the forecast, is watching the stock market. The real estate market will probably follow suit really quickly after. Now, another perspective, of course, is these key metrics that will help us understand what's going on. Well, the price trend right now is pretty flat. So that's a good sign, especially this time of year going into September. The sales price to list price ratio has dropped a little bit, but it's still over 5% over asking, much better than it was a year ago. So that's a really positive sign in the market. And again, showing the imbalance between the supply and demand. Days of inventory still excellent. 3 weeks of inventory to sell of houses. That is just absolutely nothing and making that competitive market. Unemployment rate is good. So that's all, again, a positive sign. And interest rates are the only challenge right now that are keeping some buyers on the sidelines because of affordability. So that's going to be our wild card. If that changes, that could definitely change the market and improve or increase the demand in the market. So step back and think about this right now. It is a little bit more difficult to get into a property if you're looking to buy because the interest rates are high and it is slightly competitive. But if interest rates improve, it's going to get even more competitive. Let's just say that. If inventory goes down, it's going to get even more extremely competitive. So the balance here of supply and demand is really tips quite quickly in the San Jose area. So if you're thinking about making a move or a purchase here in anytime soon, I would encourage you to look into that as soon as possible. When you find a property that is a match, you should be doing whatever you can to get in because it's likely the market is going to take off even more and prices increase even more in 2024. Stay tuned. If you can't afford a $1.3 million single family or on average $1.7 million, you're probably in the condo and townhouse market. So we're going to discuss that next. All right, here's our countywide condo market stats. Now I do it countywide because there's just not as many condos and townhomes selling. And we're looking in the 200 units a month kind of range, where in San Jose, single family homes were selling more than that just in San Jose, not the whole county. So the supply continues to be low, not quite as low as you're seeing in the single family home. If you draw the line here, we've seen this kind of inventory in the condo townhome market before, but it is pretty low for especially the summer when we're typically seeing these peaks. This here is labeling the peaks of inventory: September, June, October, June. I think this was also June. So you get the point. Is typically we would be at a peak in the market, and we're just not there this year. And sales are decent. You see the green line peaking up above that yellow line. We're selling more than it's available, which tells me that overbidding is definitely happening because supply and demand are not in balance, right? And look at that, 3.4% over asking on average a condo or townhome is selling. The average price is just over $1 million. And it is slightly down from the month before, but up 5% almost from a year ago. So that's a positive sign. And as you can see, the overbidding a year ago was barely there. Most things were selling at list price. Today, we're definitely selling over, and it even increased from last month. So that's because there were more sales. We have 24 days of inventory, just slightly less competitive than the single family market, but really, we're splitting hairs at this point, talking about 22 days versus 24 days of inventory, right? Sales are up from last year, which is kind of a big news. That's not happening in single family homes. And sales are way up from the previous month. But inventory, again, half of last year. So these are the dynamics that are happening in the condo and townhome market. So if you're looking to get into the market, whether it's starting your home search or just getting your research done, check out the links below to our tips to buy guide, where we're going to walk you step by step through all the different phases of doing your research, setting up your team, starting your home shopping, and even what to expect when you're making an offer and all the way to your move. So I hope you find that guide very valuable. And if you're looking to sell and take advantage of this really strong seller's market, we also have a tips to sell guide, and we have seller seminars coming up. Even if you're planning on making a move in 2024, there's a lot of critical information that you should know and you should learn about. And we've got those live in-person seminars coming up here in San Jose. So check out the link to that and sign up if that's something you would find valuable. There's a lot more details on that sign up page of what we're going to cover so that you can decide if that makes sense for you to come and learn about. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Teresa Wellman with Homeowner Experience Real Estate. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below, and don't forget to like this video. I appreciate you watching all the way through. I get a lot of requests asking how to keep up to date on our content and local events. So I recommend you sign up for our education-focused newsletter at homeownerexperience.com/newsletter. Once you do, you will get educational videos, including professional insight on the San Jose housing market, interviews with experts to educate homeowners, and get invited to our local events. Our mission is to revolutionize the real estate experience for you through a focus on education, transparency, and an unwavering commitment to your success. And the newsletter is a source to tie all the content together for you. Sign up, and if you don't like it, no worries. Unsubscribe anytime.